Okay, in this video I'm going to be comparing the Excalibur 2400 4-tray food dehydrator, which you see on the left, with the LEM 1010, that's the model number, food dehydrator on the right, and we'll be using this whole box of apples. There are as many as will fit in each one. Now this one here, I'll just go over some of the features. This one's kind of bare bones. It's $125, at least it was the time that I purchased it, and all it has is the thermostat control and the plug. As soon as you plug it in, I don't know if you can hear that, but that's the on-off switch, is the plug. So it's fairly basic. It comes with these liners here, and I also purchased separately some non-stick inserts, and I'll include a link to that. There's a good deal on eBay for those. So here you have the LEM food dehydrator. As you can see, these trays, there's no inserts, and there is more space than, I'll just take this out here. And when you have the insert, obviously if you don't have the insert on the Excalibur, well, you're dealing with something probably too big for most things. But to give a size comparison of the trays, so you can see it's quite a bit larger, and there's 10 of these trays versus the 4 of these trays. So we'll go ahead and put that back together, and then I'll show some of the features. Now, as far as the inside, well, they both have these just kind of hanging doors that fit on the top, just like that. Then this one actually has grooves on the side. Okay. So let's take a look at the inside of the dehydrators. Go ahead and turn on the light here. Okay, so here you have the heat coil that is adjusted by the thermostat that's right here, or at least the knob anyway. And then you have a blower fan, which stays on the whole time that it's plugged in. And it does get all 4 trays fairly evenly. I will occasionally switch the bottom tray to the top tray and kind of move them around. And I'll also rotate it from front to back because if food's on this side, it's going to be more moist than food in the back if it's over a period of time. Now you'll have the same kind of situation with the LEM, in that you move trays from top to bottom. As you know, its heat rises, so it will be higher. And then you have also the middle that may dry out sooner than the top and bottom as well. So inside here you see a larger fan, and then the same basic design. The distance between there's a bigger gap here between the wall and this cage here. And then let's go ahead and look at some of the other features. Now, something that's there's a timer. You can set the timer, and there's also the thermostat control right here, and it also has an on-off switch. They both have drying guides right on the face of it. But those are the main features. Now also, if you're going to dry any kind of fruit, anything that can be peeled, you want to get one of these, and I'll show you in just a second how this works. I picked this up at Harbor Freight. It was about $5, so you couldn't go wrong. I think I even paid less. They were on clearance. They do break, and they break right here. At that point, if you over tighten it, it will crack the metal. So you want to make sure you either get a really good deal or you get a really nice one. I figured $5 for a hand crank apple peeler was a good deal. And you also want to make sure that your blades are sharp. So Next step here, we're going to go through some of these apples. I'll tell you the apple count per unit, and then we'll dry them and we'll see how the results turn out. Okay, so here's the apple peeler that I'm going to use. It's just a turn crank. This lets you, this knob here, just you push it back and then you can slide the whole thing back. You just stick an apple on here. This ring and blade both cores and cuts it into like a curly fry shape, and this is the peeler. So this actually locks if you don't want to use the peeler. We will be using the peeler, and so we're just going to keep it like that, and it adjusts on the spring as the apple comes in contact. So I'll show it to you. And then if you buy one of these, you just want to make sure that you keep the blade both clean and sharp, so just even a little file. It's not like a razor blade, but it is, you'd cut yourself on it. So anyway, that's the setup. And if you have a stone countertop, you want to put something on it to keep it from scratching, and also you don't want to over tighten it. You'll either break the peeler or you can crack your countertop if you have a stone countertop. So with that said, let's hook this up and we'll show you how it works. Okay, so here we have the apple, and you just stick it on the spikes like that and then turn it, and as it goes you'll see that it just kind of catches. Sometimes they'll catch, but usually it's pretty effortless, and the other blade is just cutting right through. Okay, and so then just pop the core right out, and this one at the top it usually leaves some skin. But then the other cool thing is I have a ceramic blade. You can use any blade, but these are pretty cool. Ceramic paring knife. And then you have perfect peeled apple slices. So that one, a little bit of the core. That doesn't usually happen as long as you put it on straight. So I'll put each one of these on the trays, and then we'll compare how many apples to apples on which tray. Okay, so I finished peeling the apples. Now on the Excalibur I was able to fit 10 average sized apples on the trays, and then on the Lem I was able to fit 35 apples. So obviously the comparison of capacity, it's over 3 times that of the Excalibur, and the footprint is almost the same. It's a bit taller obviously, but the actual footprint is the same. So I'm going to put the cover on. Let's see, it just fits right on there. And put the Excalibur on. Okay, and then the temperature is set to 135 fruits and leathers, so it's between 2. It could go a little cooler, but I'll just keep it there, 135, and then plug it in, and then you can hear it going. Now over here we are going to turn the machine on. Okay, and then the timer says fruit and fruit roll-ups 8 to 16 hours at 130 to 140. So it's right there, set right there. So we'll set it to 8 hours, and then we'll go ahead and push start. Okay, and they're off. So we will come back in 8 hours, which we'll just, when this one goes off, it beeps and then turns off, whereas the Excalibur will just keep going until you unplug it. So anyway, we'll let this go for 8 hours and then we'll check it out. Okay, so this one, the timer reached the end, and there's a lot of condensation that kind of built up, but they're actually not done yet. There's still a lot of moisture, and so if you were to store these they would mold. So I'm going to put those back in. You'd almost think they were maybe halfway done. Now these here in the Excalibur, these are totally done. They're leathery. There's no moisture in there. So we'll go ahead and turn these off. And halfway through at 4 hours, I switched the trays on here. And here I took the ones from the center, moved them to the top and the bottom, from the top and the bottom to the center. So anyway, these are finished. And we'll extend this. And maybe turn up the heat a little more. Give it another 4 hours. Okay, so the apples are done, as you can see. The lem took about 14 hours to dry 33 apples, and this the Excalibur took about 8 hours to dry 10 apples. As far as look, typically when you can dry faster, it retains a lot of the color and apparently the nutritional value. As you can see, it's pretty close. These are a little bit more yellow, these are a bit more brown. And then just when you're drying, you want to make sure that there's no moisture when you eat it, that it doesn't have any fresh apple taste, because then it's not done. Okay, so here's my final thoughts. The design of the Excalibur, if you remember when we took the trays out and that had the fan back there, is centralized across all 4 of the trays, whereas in the Lem there was almost the same size fan and heating element, but it's distributed against all 10 trays, so you're going to have more of a or less drying capability. And so these are some of them that came out of the Lem that were so thick that they're still wet. Yeah, you can eat it.
These, Daddy.
What?
These.
Is that for me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I picked these out. I didn't want to put them in. And here's just a little tip. I got these from a local kind of organic foods place. They're Oxy-Pack, and they just absorb extra oxygen. It just extends the life of the dried apples. But this is a gallon-sized bag, so I got about 1.5 bags full of dried apples. So that's 43 apples total that you're looking at here. And I also noticed I couldn't tell if it was just that I'd eaten enough that it was kind of tasting the same or losing flavor, but it seemed like the Excalibur apples were sweeter, and that could very well be just because they were dried faster, and so they retain more of their sugars and they don't break down, whereas if it's drying longer, most of these are from the Lem here, they are less sweet. And if you watch my convection versus fan dehydrator video, you'll notice also that the convection dry took longer and the banana chips didn't taste as good. So that might be the case. So if you buy a larger unit, just make sure that it has more fans or a bigger heating element. But other than that, we're done. So thanks for watching. Please rate, comment, and if you'd like to see a review of some other type of product, let me know.